Hearthstone, an amazing card game that I have spent a lot of my life playing, so much so that I myself now make my own custom cards just for fun. The game really has sparked a passion in me for game design, and so I have begun to study the design of Hearthstone and learn how exactly the cards are made. Now, after doing a lot of research, I believe I have a good idea of what goes into the design of cards in games like Hearthstone. But just to be clear, I'm not a game designer, and all of the information I'm going to share in this video is just stuff that I've picked up in the last couple of years of playing and studying this specific game. Hopefully this video will both entertain and provide you with an appreciation for card design, or maybe even teach some of what goes into the design process of each card for those who want to make their own amazing cards themselves, whether that be for Hearthstone or for their own games. But without further ado, let's gather our arcane dust and learn how the cards are crafted. For this video, I want to keep my focus on the surface level of Hearthstone's card design, covering only the core principles, with those core principles being fun, flavor, and balance. The combination of these three components is, in my opinion, what makes up a well-designed card.
Perfection.
So let's now take a closer look at each one, starting off with fun. Arguably the most crucial part of a card's design, and definitely the thing that should be decided upon first, is a card's fun. A card's fun is the main thing that draws a player to that card. It's what makes them go, ooh, yeah, I want to play that card in my deck, please. And for that reason, all cards should be designed around fun in some way. Even a card that is considered weak in a competitive sense should still inspire players to use it. After all, the point of a collectible card game is to allow players to experiment with its cards. So if they do not want to, then what's the point of playing? So how can we make a card fun? Well, it can differ from game to game, but for Hearthstone and most other CCGs, fun comes from a combination of the card's mechanics and/or its synergies with other cards in the game. Hearthstone cards have a text box which contains a combination of the effects and abilities a single card has. This text box represents the card's mechanics. Sometimes a card's mechanic alone is enough to make the card fun. For example, let's look at one of my personal favorite Hearthstone cards, Instructor Fireheart. This card's unique and useful mechanic of discovering a bunch of spells is what made this card super fun, and I ran it in all of my Shaman decks. But in many other cases, especially in a game like Hearthstone where deck building is the main drive of the game, synergies are another hugely important aspect of what makes a card fun. Let's look at another example. On its own, the card Voidlord may not appear to be very fun due to its basic effect, but its synergies with cards released at the same time, such as Skull of the Minari and Possessed Lackey, made Voidlord become a very fun and useful card in many Warlock decks. So designing a card's fun is done by creating its unique mechanics and/or its interesting synergies, and in my opinion, this should be the very first step of a card's design. But what then is the second step? Well, another very big aspect of any game is the theme that you're wanting to portray, and that is no different for a card game. Flavor is our second pillar of card design, but what is it exactly? The flavor of a card is how it fits into the theme being expressed within the game. For Hearthstone, the flavor of a card is created with the card's name and artwork. These two work together to show off a person, place, or thing within the current expansion's theme. To give a good example, let's look at a card from the expansion Showdown in the Badlands. This card set explored the theme of the Wild West, and the card Gold Panner, while simple, contributes itself to that theme perfectly, showing off a farmer trying his darndest to strike gold. An important thing to consider is ensuring a card's mechanic also fits the specific flavor you've chosen. Not just any old card could have been Gold Panner. It worked for this card because its mechanic of drawing endlessly matches the flavor of being a farmer endlessly panning for gold. Lastly, the final step in a card's design journey is balance. Balance is a term that refers to the power level of a card. A balanced card is both not too weak and not too strong. So this is easy. Ideally, you want to design cards that are perfectly balanced, right? Well, it's a lot more complicated than that. Balance is something that is very difficult to get right, and it's why I personally believe it to be the last part of the design process. Now, don't get me wrong, balance is definitely considered during all stages of design. I'd say getting the balance right should be attempted, but not focused on. First, lock in what the fun and flavor of your card is, and then make a solid guess on what the right balance for the card should be. Then, only after playtesting can you figure out exactly what the balance should be. From what I gather, this is actually similar to how the Hearthstone team tackles this. First, cards go through initial design, where the mechanics are figured out and the fun is tested. Then, a final design team takes over and playtests the cards, balancing out its effects. Personally, as someone who makes custom cards for Hearthstone and obviously can't playtest them myself, this is what I do. After I've locked in the fun and flavor of my card, I look through the existing cards in the game and try to find any that are closest to the card that I've made. Then I try to balance my card to be in line with those cards. I know it likely won't be perfect, but trying our best here is the main goal. So to recap, what goes into the card design process for a game like Hearthstone? Well, your first goal should be to make each of your cards fun, using cool mechanics and allowing for creative synergies between your cards. Then, figure out exactly what flavor fits this card best, making it within the bigger theme of the game or card set. And then finally, if you can, playtesting can help you figure out how you should best balance each card and find out what exactly works and what doesn't. To end off, I just want to say, all of these aspects of design can actually be a bit subjective. People will see fun in different ways, and flavor can be expressed in an endless amount of ways, some vastly different than others. And balance is a huge discussion with oh so many sides to it. The important thing is to just try your best with all three. Make what's fun, flavorful, and balanced to you. Take feedback, learn what you can from it, and repeat. And that's all there is to it. I hope this video was helpful in some ways, and also I just want to say for those of you here specifically for custom Hearthstone, I have linked in the description some great resources that I use for making my cards, such as a thesaurus to help come up with names for cards, and many places I go to get art. If you'd like to see more of these kind of videos where I break down maybe more specific aspects of Hearthstone's design, such as designing cards and mechanics for a larger set, or class-specific strengths and weaknesses, please let me know by leaving a comment down below and liking this video. Alright, as always, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you again very soon.